somehow. Oh man. It's boom room time.
Already got some comments. All right.
Yeah. How you doing, man?
What's up, party people? Oh, it's my favorite night of the week and the most stressful night of the week.
Monday.
Monday.
Yeah, honestly, I think my nerves aren't getting any better before this thing. Last week was worse for sure. I think we had some impressive guests on. But without further ado, it's boom room time. Welcome everyone to the Arcanum Ventures boom room, where we discuss all things boom from separate rooms. Carmelo, how you doing? How you feeling? What's going on?
From separate islands or land masses, actually, now.
Yeah. You got some separation right now.
I'm doing well, holding down the fort while I know you're traveling this week. And yeah, before we get into anything, I got to shill you a little bit. And Sasha will be speaking at the World Blockchain Summit in Bangkok Wednesday and Thursday. He'll be there. So if you're going to be in Bangkok, let us know. Meet up with this absolute legend and hear him speak about GameFi, gaming, token economics, and all that good stuff. So first show of the podcast out of the way. Let's go.
Oh man, immediate shill. And you know what? Let's go ahead and just share it. I think we've got yeah, look at this handsome photo they used. Where is it? Oh yeah. So handsome. So yeah, again, if anybody's in Bangkok, you want to meet up, yeah, let me know.
What do you
I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna be talking about, like Carmelo said, GameFi. It's gonna be a fun panel discussion. And yeah, World Blockchain Summit Bangkok in a fancy hotel. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So that's fantastic.
what were you laughing
But
about
yeah,
in that
we've got
photo? Looks very funny.
we're always laughing about something. See, we've got Degeneration X Innovation Bites. Welcome, guys. Welcome back to the
Sir.
podcast. We've got a fun episode planned for today. We're gonna do our normal spiel. We're gonna talk about the markets. We're gonna talk about some news in the industry, what's happening, and then we're going to talk about rug pulls. I guess one of the most controversial things that we can talk about, and we're going to bring a little bit more controversy to it because we've got a special kind of program outlined for this discussion. So, Carmelo, any disclaimers, any notes before we dive in?
Well, first we got to shill out one of our most loyal community members, Danny Boy, all the way from the Fair Isles. How's it going, Dan? And yeah, tonight's going to be an exciting episode. I don't know. I think we postponed it a few weeks back because we were a little bit nervous about it. And it's an exciting episode. I mean, we're not doing anything illegal, so I think we're cleared legally. We're allowed to talk about this.
I don't know. Maybe Senator Elizabeth Warren might disagree, but we're going to dive into that. And then, like you said, there's some controversy around this idea specifically. You guys are going to understand why, but we're doing it for a reason. We're doing it to try and bring some good into the world of crypto. So, without further ado, Carmela, you want to dive into the markets?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, boom. We've got the Bitcoin prices up here, and there's been some crazy news over the past 24 hours or so talking about, we're exiting the bull market because crypto prices have gone down, the markets have gone down. So it just goes to show you how like fair weather a lot of these people really are. And this is what they're talking about: a massive drop off from 44 down to 42, but still, like in the grand scheme of things, still looking pretty good, right?
Nope, we topped out. It's only downhill from here. Yeah, I think, I mean, we've been around the block. We know that this is nothing to be alarmed about. And I'm still of the opinion that we're not even in bull market yet. So this is nothing, I mean, a small retrace. I think 2024 is looking really bullish. So I wouldn't be concerned. I think a few people actually asked me this week about Ethereum prices and Bitcoin prices. And you know what I always say, zoom out. Don't worry about these little dips. Just buy more. It's a sale. It's like Black Friday for crypto. So just keep buying if you really believe in the product or the use case, or even if you believe in speculating in that. Just stick to your plan and don't just back out because you're afraid. and obviously only invest what you can afford to lose. But I'm okay with this barcoding right now. I don't need Bitcoin to pump, and I don't need it to dump either. I just wanted everything to stay as it is because we got big plans, and I'm not ready for anything crazy to happen yet. April is going to be
Yeah,
huge with the
absolutely.
Bitcoin halving.
This is, I mean, people forget a little bit. This is kind of like normal market movements. In fact, in the past couple of years, we've seen like way more volatility. But one thing's for sure, and this is not financial advice, but when you're swing trading, any sort of asset, like when I was swing trading, and I see something like this, maybe like intra hour. What is this? The span of 10 minutes. A big dump. What is it? More than 5%, maybe. I saw that as a buying opportunity, honestly. And if you are day trading or even like very, very, I don't know, minute trading, you see that there is some recovery. So there's always an opportunity to make a buck if you're trading this. But these little spikes are oftentimes the best opportunities to bring in a little bit of cash. When you see something like that, maybe it's a good idea to dump in, but not financial advice again.
Yeah. My financial advice is don't trade unless you're an absolute prodigy, which most people aren't. You're probably not. If you're listening right now, you're probably not a prodigy. So stick to boring investment, team boring blockchain. That's the team
Boring
I'm on.
blockchain. Here we go. And
Got wrecked.
we've got Ethereum up here as well. I mean, pretty much same trends. I think Ethereum and Bitcoin are tracing the same patterns. But yeah, I mean, by all intents and purposes, it still feels like a crypto spring, right? We've got a lot of action happening. There's a lot of volume across a lot of different networks. We've got a lot of founders, coming out of their bear market caves, getting ready to launch tokens. So this is very exciting, I think.
Yeah, and one thing. Obviously, I'm not a trader, as we just covered, but I am a data junkie, just like yourself. So I like looking at patterns or correlations. So if you look, the last time Bitcoin touched 45,000, I think it was maybe April 2022. Not quite sure, but I think Ethereum was much higher back when Bitcoin was at 45K last time around. So now that tells me it looks like it's pretty undervalued right now. And again, I'm not a trader and I'm not giving advice, but I'm buying Ethereum no matter the price. So it just looks extra nice right now that it's so undervalued compared to Bitcoin and where they usually correlate. So that's one thing that kind of caught my attention.
Yeah, absolutely. When you start to see all the memes roll out on social media, that's when you know it might be undervalued. So I know a lot of people have been complaining that Ethereum's not been performing as well as Bitcoin or Solana, etc. But hey, that's an indicator, right? People are catching on to something. Speaking of Ethereum, we've got TVL across all these networks. And so again, I think this is the first time we're seeing like a big downturn in Tron. If you call that a big downturn, that's a shame. I hope Turkey's doing okay. You've
That's
got a we've got a same downturn BSC network as well. Arbitrum, Solana continuing their drive, and I just want to run to the Solana chart real quick. My bags are very, very happy right now indeed.
bag
So
watch.
yeah, I mean Solana's killing it, right?
Oh wow. I have
Ooh.
not been catching up with Solana, so I did not know what price it was right now. It's the last month.
Yeah, I mean
Not bad.
I know, not bad at all, right? That's a lot, and people are actually, and a lot of like the infographics and memes and stuff I'm seeing on crypto Twitter, for example. People are like lumping in Solana with some massive gains coming from altcoins. So, the volatility you're seeing in Solana is unnatural, I would say, abnormal. So I'm really happy for that.
Well, I don't think it's unnatural. I think Solana is poised for an even more of a breakout than it had last time around. Like I think it's going to do well. I think a lot of even old heads, like I saw Selkis from Asari was saying he's annoyed by Ethereum and the lack of progress on the how slow it is and the gas fees and I think even you and me think that, and we love Ethereum. Like it's my favorite network. Obviously, it's the OG, but it's still frustrating to use sometimes, and that's only going to increase as more things launch and more people are trading, and gas fees go up, and it's pretty annoying. But I think Solana is doing quite well. It's developing. People are looking to build there again. I think they maybe got spooked last time around, but they're looking to build there once again. So that's exciting. I think Solana's not a bad hold right now. I don't hold that much, but I think your bags are in a good place.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. And like I said, I think I bought in at the top. So we'll see if it ever gets there. But I think this is one of the reasons why Solana's been gaining so
Oh
much volume
no.
lately. Bonk. Yeah. Another meme coin. But, with some kind of crazy metrics, honestly. I think I dove into the on chain data and saw 500,000 holders already. A massive number of transactions listed on like what you'd consider, I guess, tier two exchanges. So the exchanges are hopping back on the altcoin season.
Are the bonkers in the room with us right now?
There might be some bonkers.
I think there was just a
Well,
bonker in
that's
there.
it for that's it for markets. I guess we'll dive into the news. And Carmelo, there seems to be a lot happening around Bitcoin, right? So we've got El Salvador starting a new Freedom Visa program. And this is really interesting, actually. I don't think they're doing anything new, but they're doing it new with crypto. So, Carmelo, run us through what's happening in El Salvador and what this really means.
Yeah. So last week we covered, I believe it was last week, that the president was stepping down, but it's nothing serious. He's stepping down just to, campaign for re-election, which frankly I wish more politicians did, because how could you possibly run a country while driving around the country or flying around and doing press conferences and campaign events and shaking hands of I call them investors, but donators. They're really investors. And
So that's a
how
Trump.
can you and you can't really do a good job. So I appreciate that he's stepping down until June, so he can properly seek reelection. But in the meantime, they just introduced this new visa, which frankly doesn't seem that impressive to me, especially when you weigh it against other Caribbean countries that have a much lower threshold for citizenship or visa ship, whatever you want to call it. I think in the Bahamas or some other countries, maybe you have to invest or commit to investing 100K in any currency, and they're happy enough. But this one, I think they're maxing it out at 1,000 a year, and it's going to be you have to invest up to $1 million in Bitcoin or USDT. So that's more than most people I know actually possess. So it's not really feasible. You're probably better off finding somewhere else to post up for the crypto summer.
Yeah, that
And
is
I
true. There are a lot of like investment to citizenship avenues in many different countries. I think the
yeah
interesting thing here is they're targeting Bitcoin and USDT specifically, and that million threshold is a lot. But there are a lot of countries that you can, let's say, pay fees and pay government agencies to process visa applications or pay for like specific type of visas, and so those costs do add up. And I remember seeing, a website or an infographic talking about like that financial barrier for a number of countries that you can essentially pay for visas. And I mean, it gets anywhere from 20, 50, 100, 200, $300,000. When you think about what's happening here, they're asking people to invest $1 million of Bitcoin or Tether in, I think the article says, government bonds, essentially like investing into the general financial future of El Salvador. So, like, bonds are typically seen as like a low risk investment. In El Salvador's case, I'm not so sure. But yeah, I mean, I think it's less of a risky investment than some other places that might be asking, $100,000 to invest for a visa.
Yeah, and it's even stranger to require it to be invested in a particular denomination. Like if it's being invested, and who cares what currency it's in? I guess. I mean, maybe you don't want Argentine pesos, but you want, I don't know. I don't understand Bitcoin investment. It's strange. I think they're trying to do everything they can to link themselves to Bitcoin. They have the first country to ever recognize it as legal tender, which is obviously a big deal. It's going to be a good trivia question for years to come. But one thing I saw that was really interesting in this article when I was reading up on it is less than 2% of the country's people still actively hold Bitcoin or any crypto, I think. So, they launched this pretty crazy give everybody $30, give them a wallet in the country. And That went about as well as you could expect. If there's one thing we know in crypto, if you give people free stuff, they're gonna sell it and buy something stupid with it. So, or not necessarily stupid. Maybe people are just turned around, paid for groceries. It didn't really achieve what they wanted it to. So I don't think people are gonna hold $30 and hope that it becomes $100. So maybe it wasn't enough to give to everybody, but it was more of it was like a blast airdrop campaign for a whole country. And
Man, I can't believe you just likened the entire citizenship of El Salvador to degens in the crypto space. But yeah, I mean, I like this airdrop analogy. They pretty much did airdrop like
the airdrops.
shotgun method to the citizens of El Salvador. And with that being said, now 1.7% of the citizens still hold Bitcoin. So that was, I guess, very disappointing. And this might be like, an effort to try and lean into that narrative again, because El Salvador took the headlines globally for being an extremely progressive country catering toward trying to lean into that a little bit more. It's interesting to see, like, they were talking about projections of like $1 billion worth of investment. So, do they anticipate that there's that much demand for these types of investments for citizenship in El Salvador? I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. I think, like you said, there's already countries that do this far easier in the Pacific Islands or in the Caribbean. And I don't know. They did some really funky stuff in the beginning to try to capitalize on as much attention as possible. So they were going to do volcanic mining of Bitcoin. They were going to create a Bitcoin city. I don't know what the plans are for all of those things, but kudos to them. At least they were the first one to recognize as legal tender. I remember there was a great deal of controversy there, though, because imagine you have to force little mom and pop shops on the corner or ice cream sellers on the beach to take Bitcoin for their products or their services. Like, it's a little bit bizarre to force somebody to recognize something that a few years ago was seen as something completely illegitimate. So kind of a pivot for any government. Not, I mean, I would be more surprised to see it from the U.S. right now or a European country, but
Yeah.
looks like maybe Argentina might do the same thing soon with their recent elections.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. It's interesting that they, decided to adopt it as legal tender. Not the most efficient network, but still a good move. One thing I saw that was really interesting in this article, their Bitcoin investments, they say at current prices, as of 1 week ago, actually 131 million. So that's a total gain of about 3%. So, I mean, yeah, a very volatile investment indeed. And so, that gain was obviously a massive loss more than 1 or 2 weeks ago. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they're along for the roller coaster for sure. Team Boring blockchain, not so much.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be really good for them in the middle of bull market. But can a country take gains? Like, how does that work when you're an actual country? Do you dump some Bitcoin on the market and take profit, or are you just happy to hold Bitcoin anyways indefinitely?
I'll tell you what, like being the principal treasury manager of the El Salvador Bitcoin Reserve has got to be such a stressful job. I feel like everyone's watching you just click that sell button. And I mean, how many pissed off people are you going to create if you miss a spike or something? It's insane.
You think it's like nuclear codes with a nuclear football, like in the U.S., except it's two people with keys for the multi-sig wallet for for
No,
the
they're
reserve
probably
of the
just
whole
operating
country,
on they're probably just operating on a Dell. Let's be honest.
or they have a KuCoin account.
Oh God, El Salvador. I hope you're not doing that. Speaking of El Salvador and Tether, we've got Tether freezing 41 crypto wallets tied to sanctions, and this is, I got to say, this is a little bit more of a sensationalist title, because when you start to dive a little bit deeper and understand, like, yeah, Tether has USDT. They have the capability of freezing wallets or freezing Tether-based transactions. They can reverse transactions. I believe it's well known that this functionality exists in the smart contract coding. But they've been targeting wallets that they claim are attached to, let's say, terrorist funding, and a lot of different things that are tied with, let's say, sanctioned protocols like Tornado Cash. So, 41 wallets, not a lot, but still a little bit concerning. Carmelo, what's your take on it?
I mean, that's very concerning. If using Tornado Cash, which is a free to use public good that anybody can access. You don't have to be a criminal to use a privacy tool. That's worrying. Like, what's not to say, like, Sasha, I'm going to shut down your wallet tomorrow. I'm going to freeze your assets because you made a tweet that I don't like. You criticize the government, you criticize Gary Gensler or Elizabeth Warren. We're going to freeze your assets. And Tether's going to do it because they want to stay compliant. So we got them in the palm of our hand. Who needs a CBDC when Tether's just ready and prepared to do this at moment's notice? I mean, I understand and I appreciate that they're in a tight spot, and maybe without that functionality, maybe without the willingness to do that, they wouldn't even be a company. So I understand that, but it's still kind of disappointing. One of the things we want to see in crypto is a financial peer-to-peer transaction system that you don't have any governments regulating or sticking their nose in. But maybe you need that to some degree in some aspects, in some situations.
I guess I'm just kind of reserved on this because well, let me pull this up just so you can see. And this is the EtherScan dashboard for the Tornado Cash. Let's say the Tornado Cash, one of the Tornado Cash wallets. And so, like, by all means, I think Tornado Cash has been kind of dead in sanctioned areas, and I know the U.S. has been really pushing heavy sanctions on Tornado Cash. And so you see, like, just in this one, for example, the last transaction was actually reversed 122 days ago, and there's really nothing since then. So that's not so great. I think the ship has kind of sailed on Tornado Cash, unfortunately.
Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, you can still use Tornado Cash's back end if you're savvy enough. The front end maybe doesn't work anymore. I haven't checked, but that's the thing. Like, you can use Uniswap's back end as well without using the front end. So that's why these decentralized, that's the whole point. People use it as a buzzword, but decentralization has meaning. The inability to shut something down that's on chain and that's operated with nodes on a decentralized system like Ethereum, that's where the value for me is personally. I know a lot of people just want to make money. They want to maybe make it easier to wire money. That's why people use Tron. But I think that's the whole point, and that's what we're missing here. So you can't really shut stuff down. You can't censor it. You can only shut down the front end, which obviously that comes down to hosting. And maybe we'll have a answer for that in the future too, like decentralized web hosting, where you can have a bulletproof front end that nobody can take down or censor.
Yeah, that'd be a step in a very, very bold direction. But again, I think the sanctions coming on Tornado Cash stemming from this article, I believe, and they're talking about how Tornado Cash was linked to the Lazarus Group, the group that is, I believe, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea's sort of cyber crime division. And so the same group that's been accused of stealing over $600 million from Ronin network or Ronin chain and using Tornado Cash to funnel these funds. And I think Zach XBT was actually involved in uncovering a lot of that. But this is what I suspect a lot of U.S. lawmakers are using this as a sort of field day to start saying, hey, look, digital assets are being used to support the development of nuclear ballistic missiles. And that's not okay with us. And this is one of the reasons I believe that they are now putting heavy sanctions on Tornado Cash, and then they're forcing compliance through Tether. But it is a valid justification, I suppose. I mean, you start talking about nuclear war and weapons of mass destruction. Nothing really to mess around with. I'm not sure. I'm kind of split on this one.
I mean, if you want to get really deep, this is another discussion altogether. But like, as much as I don't want nuclear weapons in North Korea, like what is any country's right to determine who gets to have what weapons? So that in itself is a form of censorship. But obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if North Korea is using Tornado Cash to wash some of these funds and it's going directly to fund their military and whatever. But you know what I'm sure North Korea is also using is the internet. I'm sure they're using cell phones. So imagine the US government or the European governments, they said tomorrow, like, we have proof that some criminals are using the internet and we have proof that some computers are being used and some cell phones are being used, you're no longer allowed to possess them because you can't be trusted, because nobody can be trusted. So no cell phones, no computers for anybody, unless you come to this special booth in the middle of the town and everybody watches you so we can check in on how you're using this stuff. Like it's just it's a slippery slope, and that's freaks me out
Yeah.
a little bit.
It goes back to an article that you wrote, I think, when the founders of Tornado Cash were first arrested. The idea of code, whether it's decentralized or not, being an expression of free speech. And so,
Yeah.
if they had essentially built a protocol and then walked away and said, we wanted to build this for, privacy, to be used in a healthy manner so that people can take control of their finances, and then it's repurposed by criminals, are they really at fault? One of the things I found really interesting in this article is that there's another mixer called Sinbad, and police officials from multiple nations jointly seized Sinbad's website as well. I feel really, really bad for the comedian and actor Sinbad. Maybe not having any association with this at all. I'm wondering where this name came from, why they decided to use it. But he's been getting
Well,
a bad rep over the past few years.
I mean, Sinbad before the comedian, Sinbad is like a mythological pirate character.
Yeah, but most people don't know about the pirate. Unfortunately, they just know about the
What?
guy that played the genie.
No, you never watched that animated movie, Sinbad the Sailor? It was slapped so hard, it was so good. It's my favorite movie when I
Talking a
was a
little bit.
kid. I'm gonna
I
watch
think
that
talking a
later.
little bit more about Tornado Cash. Yeah, I mean, this is what we were discussing before. Talking about North Korea's weapons of mass destruction and essentially funneling these funds from Tornado Cash. A lot of, I think, billions of dollars that the Lazarus Group had stolen. So. Yeah, I understand this justification. It's a difficult one. It is a slippery slope, like you said, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. It is completely out of our control.
Yeah, I mean, it brings up an interesting point. I forgot the exact quote, but I think the whole point, or what people want to fight for that are actually into blockchain, is transparency for the powerful and privacy for the weak. So you and I, we're small fish in a small pond. We deserve financial privacy. We can send each other money. If I owe you $20, I owe you $100, I can send you money. It's nobody's right to know what's going on. But if you're a government, you're a billion or trillion dollar company, yeah, okay, you should be subject to some degree of transparency that you and I as private citizens are not. So you can argue about that all day, about what level of wealth you have to possess or how much money or value you're sending before people have to start disclosing how much they have and how much they're sending. But still, that this all seems like an invitation to pry into our financial private lives. You and I are not doing anything crazy. We're buying coconuts and beers maybe on a Friday night, but we're not funding cartels or nuclear bombs or anything. But that's the picture they're trying to paint in a lot of these countries, and a lot of discussions, and the legislators are talking about. They want to make this entire industry look like a bunch of criminals. So
Yeah, absolutely. You have no idea what special interest groups are behind some bills like this, and when you take a wide when you paint the entire industry with a wide brush and call it the Terrorism Financing Prevention Act, you're talking about taking a few steps back in a number of different ways. And so it's really a shame to see, especially considering Elizabeth Warren claimed that there was a lot of terrorism financing going to Hamas from cryptocurrency. And after like a deeper dive, I think they only uncovered like, what was it, tens of thousands of dollars or something. It wasn't like a significant amount considering how much money they had funneled in from other sources like fiat currency. So
yeah, and
again, like kind of not a lot of legs to stand on here.
I saw that the Elizabeth Warren and like some Senate committee was interviewing a bunch of the heads of the banks, and Jamie Dimon, the CEO of J.P. Morgan, was on record like a few days ago saying that he never trusted blockchain or crypto. It's for criminals. It's shady. There's no proper use cases for it. And guess what? JP Morgan has its own cryptocurrency platform with its own cryptocurrency. It tokenizes stuff. And this guy said a few days ago that crypto is unacceptable. It's a criminal seediness to it. So I don't understand where the disconnect in their own company is coming from. I don't understand what they're trying to say. If they're trying to just use blockchain and scrap all the stuff that we like about it, like decentralization, the privacy. But that's worrying that JP Morgan's saying this when they literally, I think we announced this like a few months ago or a few weeks ago that they have their own crypto platform. How wild is that?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but maybe they're taking a page straight out of the crypto industry's book, because there are so many companies in the past few years that said one thing and then like a day later changed their message. Even KOLs and influencers. So I'm happy to see
Especially
he's really embracing the true nature of crypto here with his
flip flop,
his flip flopping. So good for
power
him.
pivot.
Well, so
What we
in other
got?
news, we've got
Blast
Blast
Watch.
reaching over $800 million in TVL despite bugs and controversy. We released a video on-chain analytics video on Blast. Just was it last week at some point? And I think then 1 week ago it was $640 million. But it's so crazy how this is happening. And then this article continues to talk about how the company is extremely legitimate, but one of the big investors and backers is scrutinizing, let's say, the founder's marketing strategy, because they decided to develop a bridge first and foremost before anything, which kind of catered to the hype and speculation that amassed this $800 million in a multi-sig wallet. And so, again, I want to remind everyone, like, I don't think very much has been built, but 0.5 times the TVL of Solana in the span of a few weeks. So it's just crazy to see, like, how much money people have to throw into something that's just hopes and dreams at this point.
Yeah, I reckon that number is going to be close to a billion soon. Maybe next week we're going to be talking about a billion TVL. But you're right, it's crazy, and I understand where Paradigm's coming from too. People clown them and made memes about them, how they support anything that's airdropping, but it's fair. Like, how many times have we invested in something and we're not happy with the launch strategy, the use of KOLs, the use of shilling, the use of, I don't know, senseless airdrops that give away way too many tokens. We're like, what are you doing? But you're stuck with them. You've invested. You can't really get out of that contract, so you just gotta stick with it. Go down with the ship if it goes down that way, and hope it doesn't. But
Yeah,
I think
hope for the
Paradigm, they're
best.
along for the ride. Like, if I'm being honest, I think Blast will be okay. It'll do fine. It's definitely sketchy right now, and I'm not a fan of what they're doing with this launch. But I think, yeah, they actually mean to build something. That's the vibe I get, at least.
I hope so. And it's just kind of crazy how much steam they've gained from the idea of like native token yield. And I saw some of the numbers that they were advertising or marketing for Ethereum. I think it was like
It's like
4 or
9%, right?
5%, which no, 4 or 5%. I think
No,
the one of these articles
four.
stated.
Yeah, 4 for Ethereum, 5 for stables, so 9
So I mean,
total.
that's not significantly more than what you. I mean, you can get more yield on Ethereum
No,
on a number of centralized exchanges, I believe.
yeah, you can stake on Lido, I think, and make that exact yield. So I think that's what they're doing. They're like, bridge $1 billion to us. We will put it into MakerDAO. We'll collect that yield, and we'll give you that yield. And congratulations. And then they're going to be like, we had TVL for 3 months.
Oh my
Good
god, it's
point.
so
Norman's
crazy.
got the right idea.
Well,
And one thing
I hope
Blast
they
can do.
don't get. I hope they don't get
Nothing.
hacked, and I hope their multi-sig wallet is safe, and they have some very, very strong security protocols in place. And speaking of, let's say, multi-sig wallets, Jack Dorsey's Block is launching a self-custody Bitcoin wallet, and this is really interesting, Carmela, because you don't need a seed phrase to be able to recover funds. And I think, is this the first hardware wallet where you don't need a seed phrase for?
I think there's been some before with weird, interesting ways to unlock it, but I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I know that Ledger and Trezor, they have some weird, obscure wallets that I think most people opt for the regular ones. But I saw something when I was like looking to buy some more, and there was these plates, silver plates you can engrave, or platinum plates. So in case your house burns down, you have your seed phrase written on them. But it's just crazy that like I can't imagine any other industry where you'd have to sell something like that, or nobody ever worries about the bank burning down. But that's one of the realities of crypto. You have to, you are the custodian of your wealth, so you have to account for that and have a backup plan. But I don't know what they're doing with this wallet. I haven't actually read up on it. I know that Jack is launching Blue Sky, which is basically Twitter 2.0 with Web3 components, or Web 74 or whatever web number that he said they're going to be doing. Web 8, Web 5.
Interesting. Well, first of all, I want to say this is an extremely unflattering photo of Jack Dorsey, Cointelegraph. So I just want to put that on the record. And then secondly, this is what they're calling a 2 of 3 multi-sig wallet. And the funny thing is, you don't need a seed phrase, but you need different levels of authentication. And they're talking about having that be different layers of technology, essentially a mobile key, a hardware key, and a server key. And so if you have 2 of those 3, then you can recover, or you can access recovery tools, you can access your funds. And so this is something that is going to exist on, let's say, a mobile phone. They talk about, using someone's fingerprint to approve transactions, and then potentially having the hardware device. And if something is missing, then, referring back to the server. But because the actual company, Block, or whoever is the, subsidiary that's developing this hardware wallet, because they only technically have 1 of those 3, let's say the server key, then they don't have access to your funds. And this is kind of like a fix to the entire fiasco that Ledger put themselves into earlier this year around creating like a backdoor or backup. So I think it was a smart move, honestly. You're kind of removing a friction point of crypto and bringing it back to, what people are kind of used to when it comes to like mobile authentication, having your smartphone or a hardware wallet there, etc. So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hell of a lot closer than anybody else has gotten so far. I think this is one of the things holding back mass adoption. Like, people, rightfully so, are afraid to trust this network and this system and these wallets because they're really clunky and not as easy to use as like a banking app. So, yeah, I definitely want to check it out and look more into it. I haven't looked much into it yet.
In other news, Carmelo, how much do you know about Platypus?
I can't even remember when it happened, to be honest, but I saw this story. Apparently, the hackers of Platypus, there was 2 brothers in France, I believe, and they were arrested and they were brought to court, and they apparently just walked free with. I don't know if they're allowed to keep their money, but yeah, they just made out like bandits and they kept their freedom somehow. So I guess they're free black hat hackers. No bounty needed.
Well, I guess so from what I understand is that the courts had labeled them ethical hackers or white hat hackers, and the reason being because when they were arrested, they claimed they were going to give the funds back and hopefully get 10% of the funds as their like ethical hacking activity, but all of the funds were like locked or lost in a wallet. So whoops, we don't have the funds anymore. And then the court dismissed the case and set them free. So here's it's a good note to any black hat hackers out there. I guess this court in France has set that precedent. If you do hack a protocol and take all the funds, don't spend any just yet. Wait and see if they catch you, and if they do, just lose your key.
And obviously, so that's a good tip for later in the episode. Just say that you meant to do right. Like I swear, like I was gonna give that money back. I was just testing my skills, just like the Kyber swap hacker.
Don't.
Like, yeah, I'll give everything back except for 10% mandatory bounty that I'm keeping.
The episode's still a secret, I think. So we're going to dive into that soon. But before we do, the last bit of news, we've got Do Kwon trying to avoid extradition out of Montenegro, and extradition, I believe, to South Korea and the U.S. for his financial crimes. Carmelo, what's going on with Do?
I think you're right. What is this, in Telegraph? They do not do flattering photos.
No, look at this. This is awful, man.
Please don't, Cointelegraph, don't ever make a photo of me. Please. It's going to be like one of those horrible carnival caricatures that makes you, like, they exaggerate your facial features. But yeah, I don't know. I think Do Kwon's stuck in Montenegro since March earlier this year. He was caught with fake passports. Obviously, if you have a fake passport, you're either Jason Bourne or you're doing some really shady shit. So I think he falls into the second category unless he's spying for somebody I'm not aware of. But I don't know where he was going or how long can you actually like live life on the lam like that. No matter how much money you have, you're gonna attract attention at some point. Like Richard Hart, we reported a few weeks ago, he's supposedly in Russia right now with all his Gucci bags and his Louis Vuitton and his Rolex collection. Like, come on,
So much
how can
Gucci.
you really? These people don't know how to lay low. They're crypto billionaires. They're the loudest people on earth. KOLs, like tell me
Well, you know,
KOLs like gonna lay low and not go to Dubai. Like they're instinctively, it's in their DNA to go gravitate towards Dubai. You know.
it's funny that you said that because he was flying to Dubai with with the big passports. But
There you go.
you know, I think if there's anything movies have taught us, it's that if you have a bunch of money, you could always just buy more fake passports. So I think maybe that was his plan. But yeah, he's
Or
now
become
being
an
held in
informant.
Montenegro. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens as far as extradition. I think that's still yet to roll out. They're talking about Terraform and Terra Luna being a massive money embezzlement scheme. So that's always interesting.
Yep,
All
it
right.
certainly looks that way.
Well, that's what we got for the news, man. That was a lot of news. There's a lot. I mean, I thought it was a slow week, but actually, that was a lot happening.
It was a slow week, but even the slow weeks are a little bit crazier now. It wasn't the last 2 weeks. I think were a little bit more exciting, but there's some cool stuff happening always in Web3 and crypto investing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to go ahead and dive into our next section if you're ready. This is the big one, right?
And what exactly are we talking about? I don't think we've even publicly revealed, right?
Oh my God. I think before we do, we're going to go ahead and bring our guests and see their surprised looks. We've got the founders of Simplicity Group with us today. Simplicity Group is a do your own research. They're a fundamental analysis and due diligence research firm and a tokenomics design firm. Please welcome to the stage Alex and Daniel. Hello.
Woo!
How are you guys doing?
Hello. We're doing good, thanks. How are you, gents?
Doing well.
Wonderful, man.
Thank you for the
That's
kind
good to
words.
hear.
Thanks for having us on here.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Yeah,
Hopefully we'll
welcome.
provide some
It's great to
alpha.
see you again. I think Daniel, you were our first guest, or maybe second guest on episode 1 of the podcast. So welcome back. You're the first, let's say, recurring guest of the Boom Room.
Thank you very much.
Alex
It's
missed
an
out on
honor
fun.
to be. Yeah, Alex missed out on the fun. It's an honor to be one of the first recurring guests. And yeah, I think I was the second guest at the time. Someone was already on, but it's good to see how you guys have grown and that you're keeping on with it and the progression. I can only imagine what it's going to be like on episode 600.
We'll see if we
but-
ever get there, or maybe we get canceled today.
Yeah, and
Go down to the universe, man.
So, with that being said, we invited you guys on here because we wanted to have a very interesting discussion. This is a discussion that actually Carmelo and I we kind of went through the first iteration of it about a year and a half ago when we were hanging out having Aperol Spritz in Italy. And then we had a discussion with you guys talking about something very similar. We realized it'd be amazing to have you guys on this podcast and see what we can do in the world of rug pulls. And so, with that being said, are you guys ready to talk about rug pulls?
That sounds like an intro to us for creating a rug pull on a live stream.
I mean, it does take 5 minutes to make a coin. It does take 5 minutes to make a coin. You never know.
But yeah, we're ready.
Alex, that's a bingo, good sir. And so what we've got for you here today is we are going to sit down. We're going to put all of our heads together. We're going to use all of our expert knowledge in this space to plan the perfect rug pull. And before we dive in, I want to be very clear to all of our listeners. No, we're not actually creating a rug pull. What we want to do is to inform everyone, because by all means, people are saying the bull market is back. And when the bull market comes back, unfortunately, so does a lot of hype and speculation and criminality. And so what we want to do with this episode is we want to provide some ideas, we want to provide some tricks, we want to talk about what the bad actors actually do out there to try and embezzle funds or commit financial crimes or maybe manipulate marketing tactics and trick any sort of investor in giving them their money. And so the purpose of this episode really is to try and dox or bring light to a lot of the negative aspects of the cryptocurrency startup space, because let's be honest, regardless of whether we do this episode or not, they're still going to be there. And so by doing this and by talking about it, hopefully we can educate our listeners and our viewers to understand what kind of red flags to look for in a rug pull. So how does that sound, guys?
Yeah, that's a good approach, to be honest.
I guess just before we start, I do have one question. By rug pull here, do we mean, does it have to be like a complete pull the rug from underneath, or is it like a slow rug pull, or do we have freedom to choose? Because even rug pull, there's a lot of ways to do a rug pull.
So here's the fun part. I'm gonna lay down some ground rules for us, and we're gonna see how far we can get. So you guys ready? We'll go ahead and dive in.
Okay, yeah, let's go.
All right, so here are the ground rules. So we are creating the perfect crime strategy. We have 1 hour to walk through an entire strategy of what we would do to create, execute, and earn as much money from a cryptocurrency in 12-month time span. We cannot explicitly commit any crimes, but gray area is okay. We have to create this strategy using only existing technology, but untested concepts are okay. And we cannot make any assumptions for things that have not yet happened in the space. But things that have historically happened, we can use these type of tactics. And I'll just give a quick example. We potentially strategize that we want to recruit some big name KOL to start shilling our token to his community in exchange for a portion of token supplies. We know this has happened, and we can include it in the strategy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So no crime allowed
All
and no
right.
speculation. That's half of crypto, man.
Oh,
No,
I
here's
think
the
it's
thing.
more like
The ultimate goal, I want to be very clear. The ultimate goal is that at the end of this, theoretically, we walk away with as much capital as possible without getting arrested blatantly. So these are our goals in creating a rug pull scenario, and this is going to inform our strategy and help people in the audience understand what we're doing and why we're doing it.
just to jump in here quickly. Oh, got it.
I just want to get it out there. The only thing that's on my mind right now is Blast's TVL, and I just need to say it. I can't not say it, so I'm saying it now, just so it's out of my head, and we can do this properly. But yeah.
Okay.
I guess just to jump in here, I'm gonna throw something in whilst I remember, since you gents spoke about it in the podcast. Proposal for the end, so I'm a bit early. We sell all the coins, we buy Bitcoin, and we lose the keys. That's how I propose we execute the final stage. We lost the keys, gents.
This is the
we're sorted
perfect
on
crime.
Yeah, we're sorted on the end. We now just need to get in some funds in the bank, but we'll lose the keys and everything will be fine.
That's when Jack Dorsey
This is the absolute perfect crime.
swoops in and he's like, "Hey, I got your keys right here, guys. Don't worry." You're
Thanks,
like,
Jack.
Damn it, goddamn Jack.
All right. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and run through the brief agenda. And so this is the order of operations that we're going to run this through. We've got 1 hour. I'll go ahead and start the clock when you guys are ready after the agenda, and we'll discuss each different strategy for everything. I mean, let's say we've got 12 stages of a rug pull, and I want to go ahead and show this whole thing. It starts with the idea, the website, the documents, marketing, community, the product, fundraising, hype and speculation that leads to the token launch, the liquidation, the exit, and damage control. And so these are our 12 stages of our rug pull that we're going to go ahead and strategize on here. And we're going to talk about the tips and tricks of financial crime. And on average, we could probably spend maybe 5 minutes. We could honestly spend hours on each, I think. But for this episode, I think what we should try and do is maybe spend 5 minutes because we've got a lot to run through. So when you guys are ready, we'll go ahead and start the clock and we'll have some fun and try not to get canceled.
Already canceled.
We're already canceled.
And people in the audience, give us your suggestions as we go too. So everything, unless it's off limits, give us your tips. Ask questions too. This is supposed to be educational, I guess.
But
yeah, I want people in the audience.
I can't involve the community. Then defeat the purpose.
No, well, there are exit liquidity. We need to involve them.
Oh wait, whoa.
I'm also watching on another tab, so I'm like, I have a conflict of interest here. I don't know what tab to click.
All right. Well, again, guys, the goal remains the same. We wanna try and strategize this, but we want to bring lessons to the audience to help them understand what red flags to look out for if you're about to make an investment decision, because that might be an indicator of some sort of financial shadiness. So we'll go ahead and start the clock when you guys are ready with the idea. And I want to make this casual. We'll all just, jump in. We're hanging out. We're having fun. Anybody have some ideas? And I'm going to go ahead and keep notes for a surprise at the end of the session. So when you guys are ready, let's go ahead and do it.
I guess for the idea, I think there's two ways to approach it. You can either go so technical that no one understands what you're actually building, and you can try make it seem like you're building the next, I don't know, whatever, the next Bitcoin,
Next
I guess.
layer one.
The next layer one, yeah. Or you can go down the very blatant Ponzi-nomics route. And not to say all of these coins are rug pulls, but like Blast, the Rect route, where everyone knows it's a Ponzi, but everyone knows they'll make money, so they're happy to buy it. Well, everyone thinks they'll make money, so they're happy to buy it. So I think those are the sort of two avenues. I don't know if anyone else has any other opinions or ideas on that.
I think those two are the most.
I think one thing that when it comes to meme coins, or let's say you want to launch a meme coin, something like bottom of the barrel speculation, there's a huge risk in it not gaining traction. And then also there's a big risk in going super technical where you kind of go over the tops of your audience members' heads. But also, if you get enough hype and speculation behind it, enough community numbers, etc., people are going to just grant validation to that. But is there any hype cycle right now that we might be able to hop on that train for?
Solana DeFi, Lido protocols, or not Lido, sorry, liquid staking protocols. Layer ones are always, or layer 3s or 2s now. We've gone past layer 1s. Layer 2 or 3 is always in fashion. Maybe a layer 0. I don't know. I think those are the main things. I don't know if I missed anything.
I think I would go in the opposite direction, and instead of doing something too technical for people to understand, I would do something stupidly simple that everybody can wrap their heads around, and that's some game. Like make a game. Gaming is going to come back next cycle, so just pay a development studio, not even a development studio, but somebody to make a trailer for a game that looks pretty cool, like an MMO in space, flashy graphics. Say all the buzzwords. Say there's AI generated content. Say there's a Telegram trading bot involved somehow. Say all the buzzwords, get people excited, and that's step one for me. And it's easy to fake a game. I think it's easier to fake a layer 1 too, because nobody knows how layer 1s work for the most part. But yeah, you could fake a game relatively easy.
Yeah, the thing is,
you said
I feel like that would involve like loads of graphics and stuff. So it's just like, I think with like layer 1s or anything technical, it's just words. Whereas here, we're gonna have to like create graphics, which
but
I don't know.
I'll be honest. Thinking about games, I look at Pixelmon. Pixelmon was in a terrible state when it launched. I don't know if any of you saw it. It was like one of the worst NFTs I've ever seen. And they have just recently released a trailer that looks pretty decent. Like the graphics have been updated. They could have just run away with the money, which is what we could sort of do if we are creating the perfect rug pull.
So we got to minimize
exactly
costs.
these games like Star Atlas or Pixelmon, they take years. Like I think Star Atlas is supposed to take 8 years to launch. That's so much time to engineer your rug pull. Like I'm not saying they're rug pulling, but that's so much time. You can do so much with that time. And
I mean, with
just-
Telegram
I mean,
as well.
when it
So you
comes
can
to
go.
a game, I mean, we gotta if we want to create real hype behind a game, we'd have to dedicate some money to some trailer. And so I think that's like, the test of time. You see a lot of companies that raised a bunch of funds just on some like theatrical trailer. Maybe they poured like 10, 20, 30, $50,000 into something like that. So that is more difficult, but it's definitely going to cater to a hype cycle that is still active and coming. And if you bring buzzwords into it, it'll be good. With the layer one, you can always create like some weird fake dashboard on your website and just like, display some bullshit numbers like TVL and like partnerships, ecosystem partners, DApp builders, things like that. That might do the trick, but maybe GameFi would be a little bit easier.
we could split the
as
difference
well.
and do a layer one, a game with its own layer one.
Perfect.
Just do both. Raise
Yeah.
more money,
That's
double the
not
money.
There you go.
It would be I think you mentioned
All right.
Telegram bot trading as well. I think we can throw it in so it's a game on Telegram. I think that's going to be pretty popular. I think we're going to see with Ton more like integrated Telegram wallets, and we could even throw in some GambleFi in there, like a heads or tails game, and you can choose heads or tails, and you win like a 1.95x, and you're actually facing real opponents.
It'd be cool. A bit of a tangent, but imagine Telegram has its own games where you can play like your community versus another community. And that should be a pretty fucking good idea.
I like that. So you can there's some sort of weird Telegram integration that'll like auto-populate your team. All right. We're at 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and lock this idea down. We are creating a GameFi economy for a game that has integrations into Telegram and components of AI to, let's say, create landscape, NPCs, etc., and GambleFi. And we're creating our own native network for it to facilitate faster and better transactions and a better gaming experience. Does that sound all right?
With
Really
NFT.
sounds a
That
lot
sounds
more.
good.
Yeah.
With a
All right.
crowdfunding NFT collection, yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah,
You
here we
you
go.
gotta have
Gotta
it.
have the crowdfunding.
Madness.
All right, guys, we're moving on to the website. Now, what are we going to do for the website? We're going to try and bring some, let's say, speculative and manipulative techniques into structuring this website. So what are the things that when people try and come to our website, what do we want to communicate to them first and foremost? Do we have like some ridiculous theatrical trailer playing in the background? Let's do it.
So I have the perfect thing. Now I've recently looked at a particular protocol, and that particular protocol is very popular. It was actually mentioned earlier on this call. What they did with their genius marketing website is basically, first of all, you log in, and then it says you'll get an airdrop if you connect your Twitter or Discord or whatever. But then when you do that, it says, "Oh, you're too late." But then when you click OK, fine, I'm too late. It's like, but if you're too late, you can still earn if you bridge some tokens to us and invite your friends. And you're like, oh, sick, I get a chance to redeem myself. So it's that, you already get that slot addiction kind of vibe. And then you have things like you put the leaderboards as the first thing on the nav bar. And then you put like the home, the about us, and so on, just so you can really prioritize what's important. And I think those things to like kickstart the website, I think that's like a good fundamental building around there.
I like that a lot, actually. So you're creating a sense of urgency. The first and foremost thing, like in order to get let's say the lowest common denominator of people that might be interested in speculative trading is earning mechanism, right? And so talking about airdrop, like if you hashtag airdrop on Twitter, you're going to get 1 million likes like in the first hour. So talking and like upfront about earning, talking about airdrops, and creating a sense of urgency, like, oh, you're too late, but there's still a chance. And then bringing in a competitive aspect of it. I like that very much.
Yeah.
Carmelo, I know you're a big fan of ecosystem partners and investors and everything. Well, one thing I wanted to talk about is, let's say it's not technically a crime to just plaster a bunch of BS logos on your website that no one can actually verify. So if you use Microsoft Word, we're all of a sudden a partner with Microsoft. If you have played, let's say, Assassin's Creed before, hey, Ubisoft's in the house, man. So let's go ahead and we'll throw like 40, 50 different logos of major companies on there, right?
I think, is it crazy if you have an iPhone to say Steve Jobs is an advisor?
That's
You joke, but
yeah.
I know somebody that's done that before. They got caught with this
What?
saying that they were mentored by Steve Jobs. I forgot who it was, but it was a pretty funny story.
Oh my
God.
god, no way.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Those was the
it's
best.
been done before. I thought that's rule number 4, right? As long as it's existing or whatever, it's fine. Perfect. Oh wow.
I guess there's also a number of a lot of people don't really dive too deep into like partnerships and investors. There's also a lot of like some notable but very dead VCs right now that we can post those logos for that no one can follow up and verify. So this is another method of trying to gain validation. People see a bunch of names that they heard in the last couple of years and they think, oh, that's awesome.
Or you can go to Paradigm headquarters, say Hop-in Losers, we're launching a Ponzi.
I'm a Stanford dropout. Oh, wait, now we're interested. Actually,
They're gonna be like, no, we don't do that anymore, and then they're gonna be like,
All right, so guys, white paper or pitch deck? Oh, actually, you know what? I think I'm jumping ahead. That's the next one. Yeah, well, I guess we're there then. So white paper or pitch deck, how are we going to do this, and how do we create as much hype behind an investor document? Oh my god. How do we create as much hype behind an investor document without promising too much?
Guy on Twitter called the best pitch deck guy, I think, and he posts pitch decks of all the popular companies. And he posted, I think it was, what was the company? WeWork. They posted WeWork's deck. They raised 14 billion or million, whatever it was, 14, whatever, ridiculous amount.
They raised 22 billion.
They raised 22 billion with the deck, and honestly, I still can't believe it. Like, I feel like I'm living in a matrix just because of that, just because of the deck I saw. So I think we go on for best pitch deck guy. We find all of the companies that raised billions, and we just replicate them.
Yeah,
it's actually really funny.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Alex.
The one particular slide in that pitch deck, it wasn't quite the deck that they used to raise. I think it was the deck that they used to secure the last stage of funding in particular. And it was held by the bank that was their major investor. And the slide was literally, it was like, I don't know, revenue or something in time. And this was historic data. And then it just went, and then it's like, this is what WeWork will look like in the future. Just that. There was no numbers, no timelines, nothing. And I think in line with that, I think that's exactly what that should be. No real data.
I think yeah, I mean, we could obviously put like some fun infographics in there that are absolute BS. I think this is something worth spending a little bit of money on, getting some nice, fancy, flashy colors, a beautiful pitch deck. This is kind of the first thing that a lot of people are going to see if they're considering an investment. And it,
put the video
it kind of
too.
takes me back. Yeah, we can like
put
pitch
deck. That's how you can blow minds at Paradigm. Animoca.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And then, one of my favorite gimmicks that we didn't mention is the TAM Samsung, like TAM, $6 trillion. Just throw out wild numbers that are like pulled out of thin air. Nobody wants to or can validate those numbers. So
we have gambling.
Market,
we have gambling.
Combine them all.
Gaming. We have social media. Technically, if it's on Telegram, we may as well say we're doing a social media platform. That's a hefty time. We can figure out a way to get real estate in there. I'm sure somehow, some way. Real estate on the game. Yeah, no, you can buy real estate in the game. Now we're a property play.
Oh, I got it, man. You if you buy a plot of land NFT, then you plant a tree for a country in Africa.
and you get
so that
carbon
way
credit.
you're technically getting real estate for it,
Oh, on-chain
right.
carbon credits too. Add those in.
and it's green all of a sudden.
Yeah, ESG. I think at that point, 7 billion people on the planet can participate, times by the average GDP. Well, our time is quadrillions.
A reasonable
God.
company would address like the overlap of all those things, but I've seen a lot of companies that would just combine the markets for all of those things, and it would come out to more money than that exists. Like there's not that much money in the world, or gold, or value.
Yeah, there's one thing in particular that isn't quite related to Rugpulls, but it's something that's very interesting nonetheless. A lot of projects, what they do is they have like a TAM, right? TAM, SAM, whatever. Let's say it's 10 billion, and then they'll be like, oh well, if we can only capture just 1%, that puts us at 100 million, and it's just like, well, it's not really how you're
best.
meant to do it. That's doing it top down, right? So that's the way that we should do it. But as a lesson for anyone who's running pitch decks, the right way to do is do bottom up, which is like in the last month we got 1,000 users. So if we extrapolate that, we'll get to this many users in, let's say, a year, therefore equating to about whatever percentage of the market. But for us, it's the other one. The better
Yeah,
one.
that always translates for me like, oh, if we only make a measly $10 billion this year, like barely anything, then we'll be good. Then we can give you your returns.
So I want to say real quick, because Norman mentioned in crypto for 15 years, it takes me back to the idea of creating characters or profiles for users, or I'm sorry, founders, right? And so if we want to, maintain some level of like limited liability from a legal perspective, we gotta include, let's say, some patsies in this startup, and then all of us actual core founders are just strictly NFTs, like CryptoPunks.
Yeah.
But that doesn't we also like talk about all of our 15 years in blockchain, and we talk about like my 10 years at Google, and Alex, you developed the iPhone 4. And so, I think this is how we do it, right? We want to create anonymity, but when we have a few people that maybe we hire, we give them a small chunk of whatever crypto that we're going to create. We haven't yet. And that's going to take me to in a later point down the line around the financial crime aspect. But we got to have some patsies, I think.
Yeah.
I've got another idea as well. And I don't actually know if anyone's ever done this in a rug pool, but it would be, I think, actually quite a smart thing to do. You find every project that's being created without a founding team. So like every Undocs team, and you just claim you're the Undocs team. I don't know why no one's not done that before. I mean, I'm sure there's some protocols of like 100 million market cap plus that don't have a docs team. Well, I've decided to dox myself for the greater good of the world. Well, remain undoxed, but
relative.
That's a fantastic idea, really. You can just claim the success of like some other projects and say, I'm also this JPEG.
Yeah.
That's like
nothing too outlandish like Bitcoin, but a project definitely.
That might get us canceled because that's a new idea.
I'm gonna write that down just for lessons. That's
all right, guys. We're talking about marketing next. So what's happening with marketing? What, Carmelo, this is your forte. What would you like to do from a marketing perspective?
Oh man, it's my forte.
You're a marketing guru.
If this was your idea, it definitely is your forte.
Okay, well, we already covered, investor docs and website or marketing in itself, and then the trailer. If it was like more technical project, you would have to have some activity on GitHub maybe. But for this, you could be like, oh, our team, our development, we have like 170 people in India right now working on a AAA quality game, and they all worked on Halo while moonlighting with Satoshi working on the original Bitcoin network, and they're legends. And I like the copying the airdrop campaign. Obviously, that's a form of marketing in itself. So unsustainable rewards, of course, give away airdrops for everything. We'll give you your own character, NFTs. Like my favorite is allowing people to buy an NFT. Like, oh, you've made it onto the list of people that are special enough to pay us money for the JPEG. And this makes people feel special in the bull market, obviously. So that's marketing. And unsustainable rewards. Then you got KOLs and shillers. Those are always fun. Just pay people in tokens. Ideally, you don't want to invest too much into this rug pull. So you're gonna promise people equity. Maybe, I don't know if KOLs are smart enough to take equity. Maybe they are now, but take equity in tokens and do all those things. Be part owner of this protocol. Just shill it relentlessly.
How would you
marketing's
define?
pretty easy.
Yeah, how would you define unsustainable rewards? Like, where would you draw the line between sustainable and unsustainable?
I think unsustainable in the sense that you don't care. You don't actually calculate or model it out to prevent it from being unsustainable. Like, you're okay with it collapsing as long as it collapses in 12 months and not now. So you could even plan it to collapse in 12 months. Like, I want this to collapse, but only after I dump all of my tokens and harvest all of that liquidity. But I guess we'll get to that part after.
So you're collapsing it, really. But the thing is, you can always do what a lot of other companies have done, and then like just plaster and market some ridiculous initial APY for like a dynamic staking rewards contract. Like, you will gain 15,000% APY for staking. We're giving these staking rewards, and so like before you even launch a token, you're already creating some hype. But I want to go with a specific strategy of like, how do we really get people to buy in? And so the idea that I want to present to you guys is, let's say we reach out to a few KOLs. Should we name some, Carmelo, or should we stay away from that?
I don't think that's a good idea.
All right, so let's talk about
let's
talk about like Mark the Neptune, for example. And we can reach out to an individual and say, we will give you 5% of the token supply to be a founder of this company and to promote it with your audience. And so all of a sudden, this individual who has a track record of having done the same thing successfully, and then taking token supplies and making them reach a fully diluted valuation of $500 million, I think this is a good way to get that early liquidity that we need to be able to slow run. So I want to present that idea.
I would also go for quite a lot of micro cap influencers. So not micro cap, but like micro influencers. So smaller accounts, and maybe not give them 5%, but I would allocate some tokens to them, just to make sure we sort of reach more echo chambers rather than just like one big or a few big KOLs. We want to try to reach the masses. We want to have that FOMO going through everyone, not just people that sit on Twitter.
Yeah, we would need to create some real exit liquidity. And so, Carmelo, I think it'd be great if we can, like, for example, have an entire calendar of BS updates and partnerships that we would send out and talk about, like our partnership with Microsoft, our partnership with AU21 Capital that like isn't really active anymore at all, and just feed that to a bunch of KOLs. And as soon as they see one massive KOL is now a co-founder in pre-seed round, then all of a sudden that momentum starts to build and everyone wants a piece.
Yeah,
I think you also need to throw in some competition as well. So again, like the leaderboards of like how many friends you invite, how much, how much like tokens or airdrops or whitelists or whatever you guys accrue as like a team compared to like all the other teams, and having that like constantly updated, like constant tweets about that. I think that would really get the demand flowing as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think one thing to consider too that we haven't discussed is how to do this with as little money as possible. So if you really want to engineer a rug pull and you want to extract as much value as possible, you want to keep yourself lean. So you don't even want a marketing team. You just want to leverage good old DALL-E and ChatGPT, pump out some horrible, obvious AI announcements, and then announce an announcement partnership with everybody you've ever met. Like, announce a partnership with LinkedIn for making posts, or Twitter. Like, we're working with Elon Musk because he let us use this amazing platform called X, formerly known as Twitter, and just try it. I don't know. It's so easy. Everybody's seen one. Just put your logo, X, whatever, Binance, and maybe somebody will call you out. Maybe they won't, but you obviously, that's a risk too, because you don't want to attract too much attention. But start off smaller brands, see what you can get away with. And yeah, announcements. Norman, it's a good point. Announcements of announcements is always a good technique. one thing that people got to consider too, because what is the most obvious sign of a rug pull is marketing channels going quiet. So if I see the last tweet was 3.5 months ago, that's a sure sign of a rug if I've ever seen one. So even if you have to automate everything and just put out a post every 8 hours for the next year, just say nothing. Like AI, ChatGPT, make me 4,000 terrible posts that don't say anything, and there you go. Add some graphics, screenshots from your game that doesn't exist. Keep it as bare bones as possible.
Oh yeah.
We also need
going
a nice
back to the
hashtag, I think.
visuals. Yeah, we would need a lot of hashtags, and then like a robust social media marketing campaign where we would be tagging a lot of high profile accounts, hashtagging a lot of like hype events and technologies. Going back to the visuals, we'd have to spend some money on some sort of trailer or video. And so, Carmela, the idea of repurposing like screenshots or slides of this video, like repurposing the hell out of maybe $20,000 that we'd spend on some visual content to make it seem like we were still developing something.
But hang on, but you know how like the news, like mainstream media, they take videos from like 20 years ago, and then they say that, oh, this is what's happening in enter conflict country here in 2023. Why don't we just do that, but like with games that have already like launched or maybe stopped developing? So like GTA 6 has a trailer, but why don't we take the trailer from GTA 3, and then all of a sudden
Too obvious.
that's not our trailer? I think that saves us all the money, to be honest. No one's going to remember GTA's 3 trailer.
You'll be surprised.
I think everybody remembers GTA.
Maybe GTA
3.
is a bad example, but yeah, I think that saves us a lot of money as well.
Going back, I think we talked a little bit about community. We talked about airdrop campaigns. We talked about using KOLs and influencers to try and leverage their communities. Is there anything else, any other tricks that you guys can think of that we could use to try and pump? Ooh, I think I just said it, huh? Maybe that was the clue.
Do you guys remember
100x.
the 100x is good? Yeah. Do you guys remember
inorganic
the
growth methods?
The what, sorry?
I was going to say inorganic growth methods, buying followers across social media. Unfortunately, a lot of, let's say, some of our ecosystem partners, this is what they're going to try and look at when they're evaluating if this is something good that they want to launch or bring to their community. So, obviously creating some inorganic growth in our community, pumping numbers above 100,000 on Twitter, maybe like 10, 20,000 on YouTube. And then maybe we can streamline like the costs and create like a very inexpensive guerrilla marketing team to go and just like interact with all these posts and maybe pump engagement too, so it seems genuine.
Yeah, also going back to I think Alex's idea, if you have you encourage people to shill and you give them points with this leaderboard, but you can also tribalize people, make like 4 factions in the game, and people will be at each other's throats even before there's even a trailer for the game. Like, Team Green sucks. They're the worst people ever. And blue team, and tribalize those people, create this commotion. This is kind of what governments do already anyways. They seed violence and war and distract you while they rob you blind. So why not do it for the game? Like, let's copy the masters. They invented, the book's been written already.
No, for sure. I mean, it's like what the iPhone did with Android users with their very simple, elegant advert about the green text bubbles, and that has literally changed the course of society for the next 15 years. It was insane. It genuinely did. But yeah, that's a good idea. I think another thing that personal experience I've learned from the greatness of Time Wonderland and all that entire ecosystem is the behavioral economics, the prisoner's dilemma, if you will, the free scenario where you incentivize people to hold, because if they hold, then everyone else will hold, and if everyone else holds, then everyone is winning together. And you really have to push that, really drive that. That you guys are the diamond hands, and it's the paper hands that sell, but we're diamonds.
The Lambo count has been done, but Bugatti's back in fashion with Andrew Tate. We do the Bugatti counter. One step ahead.
Round it all off. Yeah.
It's a good point. You need a good sticker pack too, with like Lambos and Bugattis and Rolex watches, and just shill it relentlessly. appeal to those people.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
it's
that
a
would
very good
actually
point.
be
This oh, go ahead.
if I was making a rug pull, I genuinely think that would be my strategy. Just make thousands of stickers and just pay cheap labor just to literally go into every single crypto chat ever and just spam that sticker. Just literally.
Absolutely.
You could probably get some cheap workers in Asia or Eastern Europe who would sit there all day, or even South America, and just spam stickers all day. And yeah,
These guerrilla marketing tactics. I mean, it's about creating the biggest presence and footprint that you possibly can. And so if that means everywhere, then go ahead and do it. And so with that strategy, we're going to gain a lot of numbers. Inorganic, that's going to be leveraged into organic and in their community members, and all of a sudden that fraction of the Twitter followers or YouTube followers means there's real exit liquidity there, unfortunately. So
You have to also
community-
think about this for a second. The Celestia and Blast, they had relentless airdrop campaign bots. I'm getting tagged 10 times a day, 20 times a day on Twitter, reminding me that Blast exists. And part of this, you want to make as much money as possible, but you want to do so modestly because you don't want to attract too much attention. So if you're pissing everybody off before you launch and you're having your bots and people tagging everybody they possibly know on Twitter, maybe you're picking up some unnecessary heat early on. So maybe that's not the tactic. We don't want to go as big as possible when rug pulling.
But their TVL is pretty insane, to be honest.
It's true.
Like I can't fault them. I get tagged so much. No one
I'm
cares.
happy Solana took them over again. Some balance is restored, but I don't think it's going to be for long. I think it was just the airdrop that happened on Solana Digit or whatever it was.
The Art crypto
I didn't know
parties.
Solana
It's
took
actually a
them
good idea. You can have fake events. So it's like, hey guys, you should have been there. We were just at an event with CZ, Duke One, Steve Jobs, and Elon Musk. You should have been, and it's like one blurry photo of like someone off the internet.
It's a great idea. You can totally repurpose old videos and stuff for that as well. So
or use AI.
Oh yeah, AI for sure.
It's never been easier to deepfake.
All right, guys, we're going to talk about the product, and we already talked about this a little bit with
product,
with trailers and everything. Yeah. So here's the deal, right? We're not actually developing anything, but we need to spend some money to give the impression that we are developing a product. So we're going to spend some money on some visual content. I hate to pick on Star Atlas, but I was kind of disappointed to see, like, after 1 year they released some like weird playable sandbox that was very clearly developed with like Unreal Engine 5.1 or 5.2. And then I was curious. I went on YouTube and I looked at how to develop like a sandbox environment with Unreal Engine 5.2, and some dude did like their exact same thing in 3 hours. So this just goes to show, like, we can spend a little bit and give the impression that we're developing something really, really good. So what are some ideas here to get community sentiment rolling and tumbling?
I actually saw this guy on YouTube. He's famous for faking games, and he built a GTA 6 experience like a year ago, and it was mind-blowing. The trailer, like, Rockstar should hire him immediately because he did more than the whole team did in like a few weeks, and he documents it all. And like honestly, I don't show many YouTube channels, but that was amazing. So you just need a few superstars that are good at faking. And I was going to say earlier, you could even use, you don't even have to use Unreal 5. Like, you could use sandboxes within games, like modded Red Dead Redemption 2, or you can mod GTA 5, and you can create your own games in there. And a lot of people might not know the difference.
Yeah, I think also there's probably a bunch of open source games out there, and we could do like an open source mini game, just copy that. And second of all, for the real game, we don't need a real game. We don't need anything to be playable. We need something that's more than a trailer, but like just I know a lot of the game designers do it where they like create a specific experience for a trailer, but it's not the actual game. I've seen a few videos of that recently. So I think we can just white label some mini games and then just get someone to create a 10-minute experience, which is like a live trailer, try to get at one of the big conferences, whether it be a crypto conference or a gaming conference, and just try,
unreleased, leaked beta gameplay.
Exactly.
So I like this idea Carmelo had. Yeah.
That's a
This
great
idea of like, maybe hiring this guy who like demonstrates that he can create some pretty awesome trailers. But again, we give him like 3% of some imaginary token supply that hasn't been created yet, right? We say, we really want your work is amazing. Come on board, please. We have such great concepts. We're going to build it totally 100%. We'll give you a bunch of tokens. Cost us.
I don't know about that guy. He's probably going to cost you a lot of money if he's even willing to potentially work on this project, which I doubt he is, because only bad can come from this. Like, hey, you're the CTO. Congratulations. He's like, what is this again? Web3 game? You can't forget that Web3 games that's like a bad word for a lot of gamers still, for maybe most gamers.
How about we keep it Web 2 until we're ready to, I don't know. Maybe we start off as a Web 2 game, get a game developer on for equity, and then pivot to Web 3, and then go back to step 1.
That sounds like you're building a game, not a rug pull. I just want to.
I think we gotta go with Web3. Otherwise, we can't use KOLs to bring in their communities, which is going to be like most of that exit liquidity.
Yeah, no, we definitely go Web3 towards like the middle. But I mean, if we can't get a good Web2 developer on board because Web3 gaming is a sin, we start off as a Web2 game to get one of these guys who can build a level very well. We build out a nice demo, and then we go back to step 1, and then we go into the Web3 side of things. And we're like, wow, we're actually deciding to launch a crypto with this. We've seen the light. And then we do a huge marketing campaign. And now we look even less like a rug pull because we've already built something. We were already a gaming studio. And now we're actually just pivoting into Web3 rather than starting something new in Web3.
That sounds expensive.
That reminds me too. Like I don't know what category it falls under, but just to protect yourself and give yourself some insulation, maybe it makes sense to create some shell gaming studio companies that you're outsourcing work to. So those are just you collecting payment from yourself, basically. But it's just another layer of protection to wash your money, basically. It's like, oh yeah, we're paying these studios, and then you could fake their credentials too. Like, oh, this studio they worked with Bungie on Halo 3, and these guys they helped build Diablo, and these guys they built GoldenEye and Nintendo, and nobody can verify that stuff. It's just like NFT JPEG photos on LinkedIn. That's it.
I don't know. I think this sounds like a lot of effort. It sounds like a professional rug pull, like one that woman in the turtleneck did. I don't know if she done.
Yeah, but if you're rugging, why rug for a couple million when you can go for the billions? Like, you may as well retire for life. You don't want to have to do another rug
but
pull.
she went to jail.
Yeah, you want that Doquan money.
Her mistake was not remaining anonymous. Her mistake wasn't losing the keys. We're not going to rug. We're just going to lose the keys. We're sorted. We are safe at the end, no matter what.
I think billions, millions, trillions. How much are you trying to rug?
Well, the goal remains the same. We
possible.
walk away with as much capital as possible at the end of 12 months without getting arrested. And so that method, Daniel, I think, tried and true, ended up in her arrest. But again, I think, operating in the Web3 space, like solely in the Web3 space, grants us a lot of gray area to maneuver in. And at the same time, the majority of our efforts and costs is going to go to marketing. So if we're marketing some visual content, if we're marketing random non-announcements on social media, this is going to gain attention, which leads us into the next point: fundraising. So when it comes to fundraising,
I guess it fits here, but where we needed to figure out where we're basing our company too. Where are we registering it? That's a big deal.
The most
too, depending on
sketchy
legality.
Jurisdiction possible. BVI.
Seychelles, BVI, Cayman. There's one more. There's one more. What's the fourth one? There's 4. BVI, Seychelles, Cayman, and it's going to irk me. Well, please continue.
I think those 3 are pretty good to start with already. And when it comes to fundraising, I think as soon as we have the numbers in the community, we've got, let's say, some random logos and partnerships on our website, and we have buy-in from some KOLs and influencers that are shilling this in their communities, and there's a lot of hype on social media. That's when we start really bringing on some of the lower tier VCs that don't really know what to do as far as DD or FA. So I think that's a decent strategy to start with. What do you guys think?
There is a there is a fun notion, I would say, in Web3, whereby due diligence, what's that? Many people don't really enact in it the extent of due diligence for quite a significant chunk, I would say, of investors is just seeing if someone else has invested into it. And by extension, I think a good strategy here would be to get investment from a couple VCs, maybe legit ones, for which we need, let's say, very short vesting schedules or something, high percent at TGE. Or we just create VCs, or, we just pretend like we were already invested into by those VCs. And then everyone else will just come in, they'll just rush in. I think that's a
great strategy. So we can even create like some faulty website for some VC and have some metrics on there, and maybe like a couple of BS articles to show there's some activity with like a very clear metric on like assets under management. We can again use the idea of like some notable or recognizable names in VCs that aren't so active or around anymore. And we can plaster that as like a lead investor in, let's say, the seed round. And if we do drive some people away because they happen to reach out to somebody and find out, no, it's not true, there's plenty of other VCs to target here as well.
To be honest, if we've already got a community, if we've got some hype, if we have the right vesting schedules, we don't even need to fake the VCs. Like, we can just get, Paradigm invested in Blast, Animoca's throwing money left, right, and center into gaming projects. Like, I don't even know if we'd actually need to fake the VCs. We could just try reach out to extensive networks. I don't know exactly how that would work, but you could.
Paradigm invested into Blast because it is the guy who made Blur. So they were like, "Well, he's made Blur," and that was an instant success. So
we've made the DeFi protocol, that was a success.
Oh yeah. From point two. Yeah, my bad. You're right. I forgot. Sorry.
We've got that covered. Like, we've got a team that's like ex Google, ex whatever, SpaceX.
Yeah, all CryptoPunks, by the way.
All CryptoPunks. Yeah. We actually created the Rock NFT. Fun story. That was us. So
yeah, I think
kudos to him.
If Animoca invests, which it's a non-zero chance, right? Like, if we have the community, if we have the numbers, if we can prove that there's some traction, if we've got like some sort of trailer, there's a chance they might invest, and then it's off to the races, right? Because everyone's going to ape in. And so that might be a good strategy to try and see if, we can dupe their team into buying something like this. This feels so weird talking like this. We're totally going to get canceled. Just want people to know, again, this is like theoretical situation to educate everyone.
You either have to leverage your pre-existing reputation and be willing to burn it to the ground, or you have to do this all on Docs, which is very hard. You can't raise that much money on Docs. It's not easy.
I think it's not easy now, to be fair. I would agree, yeah. Before it was a lot easier, but why do you think that is? Do you think that's because of just the amount of scams that happened, or do you think there's some other reasons?
It's not even publicly doxed either. It's like, if you're talking to VCs, like, do you think Blast would have been able to lock up $900 million without people knowing that Pac-Man is the guy behind Blur? Paradigm wouldn't even let him in the room if they thought it was just some random dude on Twitter. But actually, he went to an Ivy League school and he launched several companies before, and he's a 24-year-old wonder kid. And so, okay, now we're willing to talk, actually. But that doesn't happen just for anybody. It's not easy to raise money even now. It's easier, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
But I think Dano has the right approach. Yeah, it's amazing. Like, it makes me feel like so behind.
Yeah, Yeah, you can say that again. I should have really started with Ponzi's. What am I doing trying to do consultancy?
Yeah, right. There's a lot of money in Ponzi's apparently. Well, back to our
24,
Ponzi.
jeez, yeah.
We're talking about hype and speculation next, which I think we actually covered quite a bit. We're talking about using KOLs. We're talking about airdrop, guerrilla marketing, all this stuff. So if you guys are good with it, let's just go to the token launch. So what's the strategy here? What are we going to do?
I think hype and speculation, would that not be like overlapping with the marketing or community thing?
Yeah.
Everything.
Absolutely.
It's all hype.
Yeah. And so creating these social media announcements, these partnerships that show very little detail in what the actual collaboration is, looking for KOLs that are actively trying to leverage their communities and say, this is a really great project. I know the team and things like this, even though the team's undoxed. Announcements for announcements, using AI generated content to create flashy visual stuff that people are going to be duped by. Creating all this hype and speculation. And so that eventually, hopefully, will lead to discussions with launchpad partners, exchanges, etc. So, yeah, I'm hoping that at that point, it's just basically structuring vesting schedules and emission schedules to try and get the launchpads on board.
I guess from my side, for the airdrop side of things, exchanges look at volume. So you want to get that volume up. So you want to be very tactical with the airdrop. You don't just want to give everyone tokens that they're going to sell. You want to build a secondary market around it, in my opinion. So like if I was doing an airdrop for a rug just to get the volume up, I would do something whereby it's like a 3-month vest where you can cash out straight away, but you have to pay a fee or something first of all. But then you can also trade those positions on the secondary. So let's say I have 100 tokens vested. I can sell it. I would have to pay a 30 token fee to cash out now, or I can sell it for 80 tokens to someone else who believes in the project. And I would do everything possible to just build up the volume on the ecosystem and the TVL as much as possible so that you can go to the big exchanges. Because realistically, that's one of the main things they look at, the volume and the community.
I think that's a great point. And we can use like the blur tactic, or even, what was it, Rarible tactic, where we can target a community from some notable metaverse or GameFi project or projects and say, our airdrop target is to make all of these individuals eligible. And all of a sudden we can start plastering numbers like we have 1.5 million airdrop recipients that are coming up after the token launch. One of the best things we can do also is create like, let's say, shitcoin supply of tokens where we can we haven't talked about a chain yet, but maybe we can launch on something like Polygon where the fees are very, very low, but it's a notable chain where we can airdrop like maybe 1 or 2 tokens to everyone at a fraction of a penny. And then we start plastering. We have 500,000 token holders after the token launch. And so these are all things that are going to cost us very little money, but people use in this space to try and create validation with numbers and facts.
What do you think about being the first project on Enter L1 name here? I think that's
a great strategy. Yeah.
I'm not going to say this on the podcast, but I met someone from the founder of a project of such a thing, and he got all the grants, he got all the capital, the fundraise, everything went well, launched the product, and then there was just no one there because everyone's on Ethereum and Solana and not on any of these new layer ones. And just sad, but yeah.
He got the grant money. He's not complaining.
Yeah, take the grant money.
Yeah.
That's part of the prize money.
We're totally going to get arrested if we take grant money, guys.
So grant money's on the table.
Also, we're making our own layer 1, but don't forget that we don't actually have to make a token. We can steal all that money before the token. All the funds got stolen. The keys, we lost the keys before we were able to deploy the token. So we have no money. Maybe you could even raise more money. Say sorry. Guys, we just need a little bit more. We're so close. We're so close to developing a layer 1 game.
Like what? What the fuck is Kickstarter? No, okay, that's cool.
All right.
GM.
Well, now we get to the interesting part. So we've brought on our IDO launch pads. Anyone that is interested in leveraging this speculation we've created and then launching our token, we've created favorable terms for them. But I mean, you guys, we all know, like, we're token economists. We know how to structure vesting schedules to make it appear like, an investor might be getting favorable terms, but the company does retain some semblance of token control. And, based on our on-chain analytics experience, understanding meme coins and everything in the space around liquidity pool manipulation, we know how to make it seem like a massive market cap and fully diluted valuation, whereas we're not really putting a lot of value there for any initial token holders. So I don't think we need to discuss that really. That's maybe an entire. Let's say we've got a bunch of people buying it. We've got a bunch of people that are hype. They want to buy this token. They want a piece of the action. And now we're taking it to the liquidation. And so now we're going to talk about some fun stuff and how we try and actually extract all this capital coming in from community members, from people that are listening to KOLs, from IDO Launchpad members that want to buy in because maybe they missed a ticket or something. So how do we do this? And this is going to be a practice of both marketing and financial management.
What if
instead of you can go, Alex.
Yeah, just quickly, instead of people interacting with a pool wallet, they interact with our wallet. So they just send the money straight to us, and then we send them back the tokens. Would that work? Do you think? Nice and simple,
That works. That's
It's
been
so
working for some
degen.
meme coins, like for Ben.eth and for some of these weird coins that have been launching. Send me money and I'll send you the tokens whenever we launch. If we launch them, it's like a really, really, really makeshift SAFT basically with no actual signing. But
Yeah.
I don't know if we could do it with this caliber of project. But I mean,
I don't know.
Blast has basically done that. It's like lock up your value and tell your friends.
Call it a psyop. And like Norman said in the chat as well, like reverse psychology is just like, guys, don't invest into this. It's all psyop, and then people will just invest into it. It's a strategy. And yeah, Dan, what were you gonna say?
I think depending on how far we go with the Rugpull, as in do we actually launch and do we operate for a few months to get some more liquidity? If we do something like that, I think the economy design should include some elements of either buying Bitcoin or if it's like AVAX subnets, AVAX or something. We don't want to be stuck with our currency. We don't want that. We want something else. So we want the economy to slowly extract value from the token into another coin. And then as it's doing that, then we can start to sort of also take some of our own currency out. But ideally, the economy would have people either buy another currency or something like that, or there'll be buybacks into another currency going on, because it's much easier to run away with Bitcoin, which you can just put through a tumbler, I guess, than it is to have to sell your own currency. It's a bit more complicated, I think, at least.
Absolutely. I think the goal remains the same. We try and get as much capital as possible. And that means we have to try and come up with ways of essentially trading our own, worthless token for things of real value. And so this takes me back to the token launch. Actually, in preparation for this, I forgot to make a point. We talked about the idea of bringing on a few patsies. Let's say we hire like some, digital marketer or community member or someone even that maybe we meet in passing that we can talk into a CFO type of position. The entire idea there is that we want to give someone the impression that they're going to have some important pivotal role in this company, but we give them no actual control. At the same time, we use this person to KYC across a number of shit tier exchanges that we would create, let's say, collaborations with for IEOs. Immediately from day one, we have an account that we can send tokens to off chain and liquidate, and say they're going for liquidity provisioning. And so this allows us to create some avenue to extract capital from our token supply. And then the game is just being creative on chain to try and bring tokens into different let's say, fake wallets or different layers of intermediary wallets, or even faulty staking contracts, which we have seen before, kind of crazy, that are deposited into by, let's say, an admin wallet and then withdrawn in a different wallet. But the entire idea is that there's someone we've never met. They are our patsy. They've signed the KYC for these exchanges. They don't have access to the account, and we're trying to extract value from our token there. And then the game becomes, we are just going to create as much hype and speculation behind whatever crap announcements and visual stuff and events that we can to bring more volume before we liquidate.
You sound like you're speaking from vast experience there, man. You're a seasoned expert, got everything step by step laid out.
Jesus. Hey, man, we've done a lot of on-chain investigation. Let's put it that way.
You forgot about a staking platform where you offer 27,000% yield.
Only if you lock up your coins for a year.
Yeah, lock them up. The longer you lock them up, the more value you're going to get. And if you want to lock up ETH or stable coins too, please do that. That's very helpful for the liquidity pool.
Yeah. So we prioritize LP provisioning, right? So
we got a bucket for
real
that.
Cash. Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
I guess we could do some sort of campaign when we're planning to exit of like changing chains. So we're moving from Polygon to Solana or ETH, and we could do the hack during that bridging process, or something could happen during that bridging process. I mean, it wasn't us guys. What can we say? Lazarus Group over there, they took all the coins.
Actually,
that's perfect. Actually, yeah, it goes right to a mixer.
No, we have the best story possible. We start on Polygon, and naturally, we're gonna bridge our token in our TVL to our layer 1 that we're building. And oops, when we did that, something didn't work out, and we lost everything.
That's perfect.
Yeah, but that's like step Z though, right? Like we can't do anything after we do that.
Sure we can.
But I think that extracts as much value, because I do feel like, after a month or so, people will start to just leave for like a new APY. Like I don't think the token price will, be held up, because no one will really be buying it, because I think the hype will die down. So realistically, to be honest, I think it might be best to like exit whilst you're still like, at the peak. You might not exit, at the full all-time high, but you won't exit at the very low as well. So
the other thing we could do is 2 game trailers.
Yeah, the other thing we could do is we could have a hack, take some of the coins, but be like, no guys, we're back, we need our strong community, and we try basically double dip, and we try to regain steam after the initial hack.
Strong hands.
Stab them while they're down.
Yeah. No, we're down, guys. Like, we've been hacked, but don't worry, we're still here. We're still building. You drop a trailer of an office of 180 employees somewhere, just all working away. Like, we're still hard at work. We are not giving up on this, guys. We're doing a new community round, and you'll get tokens at 50% off, but it's 6-month vested. Just put your money into this contract address and then disappear.
I think this is important to talk about a little bit. There's very little accountability here, and so let's say we have our liquidity, we have our fundraise, right? We have money that came in from the fundraise, and the goal for us has been to spend as little as possible, but make it seem like we have been developing something, and we walk away with that money. And then we've got our token that we've launched, and the value that's coming from the token is all of these people that have been fed lies to buy in and provide liquidity. All of a sudden, we have access to the liquidity that sits in the LPs because we hold the majority of tokens, and we've tried to convince them to lock up their tokens for some other reward. And then we have anything that's included in our bridge that is like let's say a blind faith deposit or investment that people have put in for our layer 1 network, which we extract with our final ditch effort with a hack. And we need to say it because there's been so many companies that claim they've been hacked and they lost funds, and then all of a sudden funds go to a mixer or funds go to some place that can't be tracked or whatever, and no one's ever heard from it again, and there's no accountability. And we're very confident that's happened so many times, and many times of which were probably done as some scheme or orchestrated plan. So it's important to know, like, something, I'm not saying Blast is going to do this, but if you're putting money into something like that, you have to be prepared to lose it.
One way I thought of extracting the cash, and I don't know how this would work because I'm not the most in touch with MEV, but I recall seeing a Bitcoin transaction where someone lost their whole wallet, which was like 44 Bitcoin or something, or whatever, ETH, sorry, 44 ETH or whatever it was. It was a large amount of ETH. If you can like control the MEV, like i.e. if there's a node, I could send a small transaction to someone as the company, and then I can have my mate who's really good at MEV target that specific transaction and basically drain the wallet. And then it's like a fair game. No one's actually broken the law because MEV is completely legal. And it's like a fuck up as opposed to a hack.
That's brilliant. That's a very good idea. Daniel, you're actually producing new ideas to give scammers ammunition. And that was what I was kind of hoping not to happen on this podcast.
Edit it out, boys. cut the tape. God,
I'm sorry, I can't help it. This is like a little puzzle for me. I see all the puzzle pieces and I'm trying to connect them. And
I've been trying to restrain myself from giving so much alpha away. And Dan is just out here. Yeah, all right, when you try this, gents.
Daniel's out here ruining lives. So we'll see how that goes.
If Blast, if you're listening and you do use that method, I expect a small referral fee. I am going to put it out there.
You know, it'd be funny if, like, in 6 months' time, we see a video launching a Rugpull as per Arcanum Ventures and Simplicity Group's live stream gone wrong or something.
It's okay. We had disclaimers. So
yeah,
that's how this industry works. All right, guys, we're getting to the.
You think somebody's going to create a masterclass on the, like, chop this up, make a masterclass, and sell a subscription for it online on Gumroad or something?
Hustlers University, crypto section.
we didn't give away all the secrets, but we gave away a lot.
No.
And the clocks just run for 1 hour. I'm sorry, 1 hour, and that brings us to our very, very last point. If there's anything else we want to add, guys, we are now at damage control. And so, how do we walk away scot-free? What messages do we have to give? What have you seen in the industry? Besides Do Kwon, obviously it's a bad example.
Yeah.
Fake your death.
To be honest, you can fake your death, but to be honest, in this industry, does anyone really care? I mean, what's his name? Suzu or whatever it is, the 3AC guy. He raised 20 million, started a new project after 3 Hours Capital with a click of a finger. I don't even think you really need to do damage control in this industry, which is quite sad to say. But I mean, even was it MetaCard or something was a project that raised where the investors rugged there. It's like you don't Platinum Fund or Ventures, whatever they're called, with their syndicate blasting everyone on their syndicate website. They're still gaining it's sad to say.
Damage control. Yeah.
But yeah.
You just do, all right, boys, we were hacked. And just disappear. As simple as that, really.
You just faked your death.
Yeah.
Or move to Dubai, just move to Dubai and live with all the other rug pullers, I guess, amongst others.
I mean, that was Do Kwon's strategy. It didn't work out, unfortunately, for Jason Bourne.
I mean, if he stayed there, he would have been fine. I actually saw Suzu at a party in Dubai, and he was fine, but he was at a party at a crypto event, a pretty big one. This was like after one of the big conferences. He was having his shots, partying. Everyone was wanting to talk to him.
How did you do it, man? tell us your secrets.
What about you guys? What do you think would be some good damage control in this situation?
I think Carmelo had a good idea on keeping the community active for some time. You see that often. A lot of communities where they just continue to promise things like, guys, the team's working hard to recover. There's a lot of stuff coming. Please keep faith. And so you've got $20 a month for a ChatGPT subscription. and then maybe like a couple $100 a month for somebody just to like throw out some BS content and keep everyone engaged. And then you just disappear with your money. You move to some place where maybe you can't be extradited or no one's going to care about financial crimes, and then hope that the industry spawns 1,000 more financial crimes in the next bull run to cover up the maybe like $6, $7, $10 million that you ended up extracting from this scheme. And unfortunately, I think there's a lot of people that have done that. And we've, like Carmelo and I have seen it personally with a few teams. So, we know that this is it's not something that's uncommon, and that's why we're talking about this today, to try and bring a little bit more visibility around like the commonality of rug pulls and financial crimes and what you guys should look out for if you're thinking about investing in something that's hyper speculative with no real fundamentals. So I think that's my take on it.
Yeah. Just to add to that, before like sort of the closing lines, when you said have that one person say, the team's still working on it, guys, don't worry about that one community member, that hits so close to home, because I know I've been involved, if you will, with a few quote unquote rug pulls, in the sense like I fell for them sort of thing, like back in.
You got to be careful saying you were involved.
I fell like involved in within, like I tried to invest and whatever, right? And then there was always that one guy who was just like, guys, just have faith, and I'll see him and I'll be like, you know what, I'll trust him or her, you never know, they're always anonymous. And then just one day and that's it. It all disappears. So
you got taken, man.
As a tactic, that is a great one. I'll have to give you that.
I don't know why it works, because we've all experienced it.
Yeah, I imagine you with your face painted blue, like Braveheart, like hold the line, everybody. Like for sure, the devs are coming.
No, exactly.
The laugh bag hold.
Oh yeah. I forgot. And you shadow ban, or you just like ban hammer people that are spreading FUD.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's a new project out that does that for you, so that's good. You just integrate things now; they do it automatically. That's even better, actually. But yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, go on.
I was gonna say, do any of you guys wanna give some last words of wisdom on this before we go and wrap it up?
If you're creating a rug pull, now is your last chance before regulation comes in.
This is meant to be a learning exercise. We're not actually wanting people to do that. Well, I think
it really makes me question our relationship.
You know what? It's just a way to cope, man. I know it's gonna happen. I have to be a troll about it. It's like I saw the rug pull where the project rug pulled, and they put on the website just penis as a word. They literally changed the whole website, and it was just penis. And I just started laughing. I have to find this funny, because if I don't, I'm just gonna stop being in crypto. You just have to be able to laugh at it. And this industry is a joke. No, but regulation is coming. So I hope the people who are rug pulling actually do get very nice, lengthy prison sentences. And it seems like some people are being made examples of, and hopefully that deters the bad actors.
Yeah. And I guess to second that as well, regulation is definitely coming. I do also hope the same. And the closing from my side is this was all educational. I know it might be a bit late to do the disclaimer. The clips are already made. But this was all educational, just from like what we've seen projects come to us with, or just like in the space, some VCs investing, and there's so many seemingly obvious and laughable red flags that people just fall for, because primarily of human biases, like natural subconscious biases, like the ad populum fallacy, i.e., if everyone else is interested in it, it must be a decent thing. And it's just being cautious and being wary of things which in hindsight are obvious. There's a nice phrase, even red flags look normal with rose tinted glasses. So it's always good to take the glasses off, especially in this industry right now.
I love that, actually. So with this, with that being said, I said before that I had a surprise for all of our viewers and all of our listeners. Net
You
surprise
gotta
is
show
I
first.
actually have
Show
not
first.
been. Oh yeah, well, look, if
Subscribe.
how the hell do
100
we show
likes
this
on
now?
this
You know what I
video,
mean?
and
Yeah,
you'll
yeah.
come back.
If you
How to
guys
launch a
love
Rugpull.
rug pulls, if you guys love this discussion, which I'm sure it's caused a lot of PTSD for many of you, make sure you throw us a like. And we've got more content coming as always. Arcanum Ventures, we have our on-chain analytics data series, investor eye tests, and more boom rooms, of course. So throw us a subscribe if you guys are feeling it.
And
As
check the
far
links
as
below for these guys, our good friends at Simplicity. Check out the links. We're going to plug them at the end of the show. So check that out. Check out our links, all that good stuff too. Sorry, I had to jump in there.
Thank you very much. You reminded me. So for the surprise, I actually have not been taking notes on manufacturing the perfect rug pull this entire time. I've been taking notes on different rug pull red flags in all of these different areas that we've been talking about, and I'm going to go ahead and share that slide deck in the show notes and the links in the link below. So make sure you visit that. You can download a copy of it and have your own very own rug pull red flag directory in what you can look out for in this upcoming bull market. No, we're not sharing notes on how to create a rug pull. I'm sorry to disappoint you guys. It's not happening, but maybe maybe you've remembered some of these lessons. Don't use this stuff. Again, a disclaimer, this is all educational. We want to try and educate people on some of these tips and tricks that bad actors might use in structuring financial crimes in this industry. We want to make sure that we're bringing as much knowledge and awareness to this in the industry, so you, our viewer and listener and subscriber, hopefully, can make the best and most educated decision when thinking about investing into a digital asset. So thanks again, everybody. You guys ready for the very, very last bit of the show?
There's more bits. Yeah.
There's more bits. We got to wrap it up with our Daniel. You might remember this one, bullish. And so, let's say you are able. We're going to go around in a circle. We're going to tell everyone what we are bullish on this week. And no, you can't be bullish in your own company. And no, you can't be bullish on rug pulls. So let's go ahead and start with Daniel.
I'm gonna need to circle back and be the last one because I was gonna say rug pulls the end. What am I bullish on?
Is it anything?
With Christmas coming up, nothing really. I think the market's gonna slow down a bit with like the festive season.
Christmas meme coins?
Christmas meme coins. The rug pull are gonna start thinking ahead. I like it.
Nice. Is it anything like what we're bullish on for this week? Or just like the market?
I think I'm bullish on GameFi, to be honest. I think GameFi is going to be making a big comeback, especially in January after the holidays. But that's just me. We'll see what happens.
No, if it is long term, yeah, I think gaming is going to be massive. I think I'm seeing it from like the deal flow being sent around. It all seems to be games. VCs are FOMOing into games without doing any DD. Grape, for example, you don't need to do anything. You just hear the name Grape, and everyone wants to throw money at it.
Has anyone done the "they did surgery on a grape" meme yet? Because that would be a great crossover. One of the first memes, video memes. I think this is like medium term sort of bullishness. Then one thing I'm bullish on is the conferences. So to people listening, obviously you guys as well. Well, we'll meet you guys when we're in Asia, and hopefully if you guys come to like America for any conferences. But to anyone listening, it is very fun. If you live in not London, the London conferences, well, the Zebu's good. And that's pretty much it. There's no real other crypto conference. But like around the world, there are loads of very big conferences. And I highly recommend checking them out, even if you are just, just learning about the space. You can get like a student pass, or maybe you can get like the 1 day free pass or something. And just being in that area, like just being surrounded by people it's a lot of energy, and it's very interesting as well. So
a lot of alpha to be gained at conferences for sure. Yeah. Well, that makes my one seem a lot less interesting. But I will actually say something else that I'm bullish on, and it's like I don't fully understand it, to clarify, but I'm just very excited for the potential of it. Fully homomorphic encryption, which basically allows you to no, it's like FHE. No. There's a few projects coming on it. Mazari did an article recently. It basically allows you to compute on an encrypted file, so you don't need to decrypt a file to compute on it. So like you could have ZK in essence, and you could complete computations on it, and you could like move the block along without actually decrypting it. Or again, I don't know exactly the tech side. I'm not a tech guy fully. I've looked into it, but it's it seems very exciting to me, and there's a few protocols trying to build with it. I don't know if we'll actually execute well, but we'll see. That's something I'm intrigued for.
I like that. A little revamp there. I gotta say, I'm this might surprise you guys. I'm bullish on Jack Dorsey and Block's new hardware wallet when it comes to Bitcoin hardware management. I think this is exactly what I've been waiting for since the Ledger news came out. I think a lot of people have been trying to figure out how are they going to get around the clunkiness of seed phrases without having some sort of centralized backup. And I want to learn more about it. At $150, I might even buy one. But the idea of creating a multi-stage, multi-level hardware wallet that can be authenticated at any two of the three levels, I'm totally in. It sounds like he's solved a major problem. So that's what I'm bullish on this week.
What's the problem with a seed phrase and a hardware wallet?
Retail. Seed
but like if you're buying a hardware wallet, that's hardly retail. Like,
yeah, but the point is like this onboards retail to hardware wallets. Like if there's no need for a seed phrase, retail can buy hardware wallets. But like people can't remember their bank pins, yet alone a seed phrase.
True.
I hate to look at the world that way, but it's just,
I hear that.
You do need to make things simple.
Yeah, fair enough.
No, that's a good one. That's an interesting one for sure.
$150 for like the wallet. Is that right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, well, the article said not including shipping and handling, so you know they're going to shaft you on that like an extra $2,000.
Great, makes sense.
Let's see how it goes.
And
Carmelo,
Carmelo,
what's yours?
Yeah. What's yours?
This is a weird one, but I'm bullish on old narratives that are going to get recycled because that's human nature. We're cyclical creatures. So I think the metaverse is not dead yet. Everybody clowns the metaverse, acting like they weren't dumping money into the metaverse a few years ago. Like they're too cool for it. It's like it's like when you grow out of Legos or Pokemon and you're embarrassed at school all of a sudden that you're rocking the Pokemon lunchbox. But you know, it's going to come back in style when you're an adult and you're a hipster, and people are going to want to buy that Pokemon lunchbox from you. So I think metaverse is going to come back. Like one of our clients told us the other day, like Gen Z is completely different than Gen Alpha or whatever they're going to call those next group of kids. They're not going to go watch movies. They're not even going to play video games. They're going to live in metaverses and do everything. That's their social media. That's going to be where they interact. So I think the metaverse is going to be massive actually. And I think even Meta shut down what they were working on and revamped and pivoted and everything. But I think metaverse is going to be huge. I don't want to invest in it currently because I don't really like it, but there's no denying that it's going to be big in the next bull run. And same with like AI. We haven't seen the last of the AI cash grabs. We haven't seen the last of the games. We haven't seen the last of, I don't know, whatever the play to earn games. They're going to be some new iteration of that. So yeah, bullish on old stuff that we thought is long dead, but not currently dead.
Metaverse actually will be very nicely improved by AI. I think the ability for AI to have, even like in video games, but this will go into the metaverse as well, like speak characters that can communicate with you, the ability to constantly generate new worlds of AI. Maybe not. Maybe I take back everything I just said about Metaverse.
That is nightmare fuel. That is the scariest thing I've seen all day.
Oh, that looks like
I think you're right. There's
I
saw this. I forgot what it's called. I got to do more research on it, but somebody's developing a metaverse world where there's just AI populating the entire world, and you can sign in and take the place of one of the AI characters and help it train. You can interact with other characters. You can navigate the world, and that's how you train the model. And it slowly over time develops a real world, a living, breathing world of characters that feel real. They're not just bots. They're actually have their own personalities developed. So that's really crazy. That's like a whole new style of video game that's potentially going to come.
You know, I was thinking as well. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, right? But I used to think or focused on the AI NPCs. So like, the people that you meet, like just walking around, a game, right?
Yeah.
But AI, like main enemies, like antagonists, also being AI would be insane. So it's like, yeah, it's cool. You can go up to the shop owner and he has a shit day because his cat died. Right? Whatever, he's still the shop owner. But if the guy that you're trying to fight, let's say a Skyrim boss, for example, right? If they don't have move patterns, so now they're fully moving autonomously, or for example, if in GTA, the next villain is fully like AI integrated and it just does something completely random the game just doesn't expect, that will be insane. So yeah, it's incredible.
I mean, that's definitely a possibility, and it's already. I'm a big StarCraft 2 fan, and I saw that there's like now there's a league of people that don't even play StarCraft, but they set out to develop who can develop the most powerful, most intelligent, fastest learning AI to win and dominate the tournaments. And this is becoming its own like niche in itself in its own right. Like who can create the most powerful generative AI engines to beat people at games or beat other bots. So it's like those robot wars that people used to do where you build a little robot with a hammer and it's like that. But yeah, it's really crazy what you can do with AI already in video games.
Do you know how OpenAI was started? Like what it was initially? It was a research. So the board members, the 6 of them, right? It was their little non-profit where they were just doing research on AI, and their target was to create a team on Dota 2 that would beat pro players. And like one of the last feats that they done was their AI team on Dota 2 beat the pro players. And then I don't know at what point Elon Musk gave them $1 million, and then they found they slightly pivoted, but that's literally how they started out. They were doing exactly that. So that's definitely something that I think a lot of companies are doing right now, especially.
Yeah,
something
I mean,
that caters to people's emotions. Video games,
Yeah.
and then before you know it, Terminators.
bullish on terminating.
Oh man, that's great.
Well, I think this has been a very educational episode. And,
apologies, guys. Apologies. That's on me. I went a bit too educational.
Daniel got us canceled.
There's always the one kid, you take the class assignment too seriously.
To be fair, Sasha literally broke it down step by step on how to get the CFO, what to do on chain, how to.
That's why I'm trying to shift responsibility. So
yeah,
I totally
my
messed
methods
up
are
there.
unproven and untested. I'm just speculating, as you do in crypto. It's all about speculation. Sasha was actually giving the keys.
Veteran advice.
Hey, people got to know these things, right? This is how it works. There's people out
sure.
there that have done these things and they've screwed each other over. So I'm glad we
I'm
had
not
this
gonna
discussion.
lie. I thought the big reveal for a second. You were like, guys, I haven't been taking notes this whole time, but I have been actively rugging a company.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say making a coin or something.
We should actually, Loki, one idea potentially, I don't know if you guys want to do it for Boom Room, create a token live. So I started doing it. I got to the very finish, but then you have to deposit some amount of money. It's actually very easy, but I think it's pretty cool. Just like exploring what goes into the smart contracts. Because for example, USDT, they can destroy your coins, they can pause your coins, and there's just nothing you can do about it. And that's like in the smart contract. But like I know why now and like how to add it. So I think that'll be something interesting.
It's a good idea.
Suggestion. 2,000 million likes. We'll do it. Classic.
Maybe.
But yeah. Thanks for having us on. It was a pleasure. And yeah, it was very fun and educational.
Yeah.
Pure education, nothing else.
100%. Thank you for coming on, guys. It's been an amazing discussion. As always, I think the Boom Room is always populated with the most engaging, controversial, yet educational discussions. And so thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Alex, for coming on, being a part of our theoretical rug pull in an effort to educate everybody. Carmelo, you want to take us out, brother?
Yeah. Check all
Just
of
shoots
the
us
links.
down.
Check the links below, and catch us next week, and check out these guys. They're doing some great stuff. Do your own research. They do it for you. And token economic design. And looking forward to some more boom rooms with these guys. We'll definitely be having you back for some interesting episodes. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in, for all the questions. Thanks for joining in episode 6 of the Boom Room. I'm bullish on Boom Room because we're just getting started. And this time next year, I think we'll have like thousands of viewers at the same time. So bullish.
No, for sure,
Take
for
care,
sure.
everyone.
Thank you for
Alright.
having us as well. And
Ciao, y'all. Happy Monday.